Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to What You Gotta Say. Now, it's Wednesday, and I love Wednesday because it's Black History with Dr. Walter Milton, and we're going to discuss a few things. First, the true meaning of house slave, and one of the books that could have been the catalyst or change for the abolitionists of slavery. Now, we're going to discuss that with my co host today, Dr. Walter Milton, author of Black History 365. And we'll be right back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Peace.
Okay, we're on commercial.
All right, doctor.
Bring doctor back in.
All right, so we'll go in, just going with us down in the slides.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do the brief monologue and then we'll clear the slides and it'll just be me and Dr. Milton.
Okay.
All right, doctor, we ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was telling him how apple juice, I found out that, the pastors get apple juice when they're preaching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And like I started drinking, it was like, yeah, it really does help the throat.
Oh, yeah. But, you're looking very pastoral today. And
is that what it is?
And every Wednesday when I'm on your show, you're looking very pastoral. And I think on Wednesday, the other Vince, the other person kicks in.
1 minute warning.
There is a Vince that's on this show that a lot of people have been trying to get rid of.
Oh, man. Well, Pastor Vince Squire's the guy today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you should have seen Pastor Vince Squire with the imam, the rabbi, and the priest. It was not great.
Wow. I could imagine.
All right, 30 seconds.
All right. I'll take control from here on the slides.
Okay. 10 seconds. All right. Going to count you down from 5, stopping at 3, live in 5, 4, 3.
Daughters of the American Confederate want the world to believe that this was the true definition of slavery. A wonderful apprenticeship where slaves were given free passage to the new world and greeted as brothers and sisters arm in arm. In reality, that was not the true version of slavery. Slavery consisted of a huge level of brutality, a huge level of working 18-hour days with not a lot of food. Not to mention, part of the brutality was finding out who was running, who was moving, who was doing everything, and who was trying to kill the master. Even slavery had a hierarchy system. Now, the American caste system of hierarchy of races or people designed to actually lead, who actually control 5% of the 5% of the people, who actually control 90% of the wealth of America, versus the next group, which had another group of influence and power, and the next group and the next group. That caste system was duplicated by Adolf Hitler when he put together the Nazi Supermen or the Übermenschen, where he had the Aryans and then another group and another group and another group. Now, American caste system not only got its part or development from a European study of hierarchy of the king and queen, but the caste system went down to slavery. There was the slave owner, the one who owned that big antebellum plantation. Then there was the slave master, which most of the time was someone who was Irish, who needed a place to stay for him and his family. And the slave owner needed somebody to throw the bullwhip at. Then, from that point, you had the house slaves. In urban colloquialism, they're called the house ends, which a lot of people tend to believe that they are a group of people that look like this. If you see the gentleman in the back, well dressed, waiting on the slave master or the slave owners hand and foot as the house slave, then you are actually right. In fact, The mystique has been going on for so long that just about every woman of prominence coming out of the South believes that she is entitled to a completely Southern antebellum wedding, in which consists of Black people highly dressed in tuxedos, wearing white linen gloves, and serving them hand and foot. And after you get from the house slave, you go to this, the field slave, the one who did all the work. They're the people who consisted of roughly 90% of the population, who did 90% of the work and got 1% of the wealth. And from that point, but nothing in American history has given white America a slight taste of the tragedy of slavery than this book, Uncle Tom's Cabin, by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Now, with us today is my favorite author. He has written this book called Blach History 365, the complete story of African Americans. Please say hello to my co-host for today, Dr. Walter Milton. How you doing, Doctor?
Hey, I'm doing well. If I was doing any better, I probably would have to pay some amusement taxes because it's been one of those days. It's been quite entertaining.
Well, okay. So how did I do with the history?
You did well. You did well. I think we got to give you guys the accurate book cover for the book, and then that'll be really good. As you can see, hopefully you can see them highlighted behind me.
Yeah.
As you were talking, I threw the stand up, so I just wanted. Yeah,
Nice.
I just tried to throw a subliminal message in there.
No problem. So let's talk about the Uncle Tom's Cabin and the house slave. Do you think that this white woman gave an accurate depiction of the tragedy of slavery?
Well, yes and no. I think that there's a really big misconception on Uncle Tom, and I'm glad that you decided to delve into a topic that is really, really in need of deep clarity. Because oftentimes we associate the term Uncle Tom with being a house slave, someone who is eager to sell his people out, to sell his people down the river rather, to just create havoc in our lives as Black people. But that was not who Uncle Tom was. Josiah Henson.
He was one of the heroes.
Yeah, he was the epitome of the opposite of that. He loved Black people. He's loved his brothers and sisters. And he would even be open to taking lashes for them if they didn't have the proper amount of cotton. He really, really admonished Black women and loved them, served as a protector. But it was the character Sambo who was the depiction of what we call Uncle Tom. Sambo wanted to really stay in all good graces of the so-called master's graces. He wanted to get
the slave masters and the slave owners.
Exactly. He wanted to really, really, he wanted to get their approval for just living. And I think when we saw the movie The Django, that Samuel Jackson depicted who who Sambo really was. I mean, the boss says, "I have a headache," or the master said, "I have a headache." He says, "We's got a headache, boss." So we gotta really understand the magnitude of clarity.
But Sarah was willing to sell his brothers and sisters, relatives.
Sambo.
He was the type of guy who would sell his grandmother to a motorcycle gang.
Yeah, this guy had no loyalty at all to us. He had no loyalty at all. He lived to be ingratiated and to have 100% approval by whites. That was his mission in life. Even if that mission was to be something of a obstruction for people who look like him. And so I just think that, we want to be very conscious and careful when we call people Uncle Tom. Um, and because we're not giving Josiah Henson, the accolades that he solely dearly deserves.
Yeah, we should be calling him Sambo.
Absolutely. That's the real Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
Sambo.
Well, let's see. Let's look at some of the episodes that he did. And okay, he wanted to have 100% white approval, which got him the white man talking nice to him. It got his kids getting the white kids' clothing hand me down, because not only was there another hierarchy of the house slave, there was also the master's children who worked in the house too. So he would get the clothes that they would get the clothes that his kids couldn't fit, and then after they couldn't fit it, it went to Sambo's kids.
Well, one of the things I think we talked about it previously are these three activities, and maybe that's too light of a word, but these three strategic things that were placed upon us, and they still play themselves out today. One was divide and conquer. The other one was victimization and genocide. I think that divide and conquer is really, really incredibly important. And so one of the ways that was handled is that there was a bill or a law passed called meritorious manumission.
Manumission.
And
Yeah.
basically, it was all about us selling each other down the river. I mean, if you look at some of the
Without any recourse.
Without
or,
any recourse.
Or consequences. Yeah.
Without any recourse. I mean, there were slave revolts. Like if you look at Denmark Vesey's slave revolt, it could have made a major impact in the history of this country. I mean, history could have been looked upon very differently. But what happened there was that a enslaved person, told the slave master what was going to take place, what was going to happen, and also after that slave had told, they were killed. Yeah, Vince, did I lose you?
No, you didn't lose me. I just wanted to give you the spotlight.
Oh yeah. See, I didn't know how to handle that, man. I'm in your shadow, man. You give me the spotlight, I go crazy, man. I almost
Hey, look, we get a good-looking guy on the show. We're peppering him for all the credits.
Oh man, I don't know about that. Absolutely.
But okay, so the snitch gets rewarded by being killed with the group who were going to revolt against the slave owners.
Absolutely. And so, that's been the story of our experience here in America. And I think that that's one of the challenges, that we have, that is very difficult to get on the same page, because we're divided by so many different things that have nothing to do with anything, but it has everything to do with keeping us far from supporting, helping, and connecting with each other. So we just want to make sure that we're conscious.
Henceforth, the term that there is no such thing or species as Black unity.
Absolutely. And that's important. But, again, my observation today is that I see us turning the corner. I see a sense of a brotherhood that's coming back, prior to the spark of the civil rights movement. I see a love for self. I see a willingness to deal with commerce. I see some adulation taking place in terms of us celebrating, who we are, where we've been, and where we possibly want to go. And I think that the foundation pillar has to be from an economic standpoint.
Okay, so let's go into the part of divide and conquer. Now, at some particular time during the early to mid 1800s, African Americans, or the former slaves, were a very homogeneous group, very monolithic. If you had one in that direction, you had all of them in that direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we really live by this ability to be collective. We've always been a collective people, but we've been introduced to individualism. And I think individualism was something that sparked out of the civil rights movement when we began to move closer to what we know as integration. And I think that there were some things that we could have carried with us by being segregated into this new sphere. So I think it's important for us to really grasp, who we were before we lost our minds again.
So, okay, remind us who we were before we lost our minds.
Again,
Again.
because yeah,
Hold
because if
on,
you
again? I mean, when was the
absolutely.
first time?
So the first time we were stripped of our culture, we were stripped of our names, we were stripped of our land, our history, our God. We were stripped of everything. When we came out of slavery, we had to rely on each other. We had to share our bowl of soup. We had to support each other. We had to do commerce with each other. I mean, if you look at those many cities across the country, like Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was going on in different places because of our collective nature. Then
Wilmington,
we were
South
introduced.
Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. Then we were introduced to this whole notion of integration, and I don't know if we desired it in the way that the results came forth. I
But
think that we wanted to have equal access, but you
is
know,
that the Sambo thing, the integration to assimilate or to be acceptable by the whites?
I think it's bigger than that. I think that what happened when we talk about our minds being altered, I think that that was the second phase of that because coming out of this whole notion of victimization and just pure animalistic treatment, coming out of that for well over 300, close to 400 years, and then having a desire to move into that integrated realm, there's something going on psychologically there. And I think that, we've had experiences that we haven't healed from. And when you bring that topic up, people don't want to hear it. They get angry, get over it, it's excuses, blah, blah, blah. But if any group of people had our history, first of all, it would be front page news. And secondly, they would have some of the challenges that we have. I mean, if you look at even what's going on with Biden right now, and I'm not trying to make this political at all, but I'm just making it realistic because we talk about in the book, being a Republican or a Democrat is the deadly dance for Black people. And but one of the things is that, I mean, looking at this aid that's being funded to Ukraine, I mean, who is outside of the bounds of the United States, but here we are. Our ancestors built this country. We have been involved in every war since the inception of this country. We have done everything that America articulates themselves as being. We have accomplished that, and we have
And they
received
and
nothing.
they did everything to hide those accomplishments, those accolades, and the contributions that we did to this country.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we have to understand, truth always rises to the top. It
Mhm.
really does. An old wise woman told me that the truth and a lie went swimming one day. And the truth was wearing really beautiful clothing. The lie jumps out of the pool, snatches the truth's clothes, and is wrapped up beautifully. And the truth began to chase the lie. And that's what happens. We have been conditioned to believe in lies and not want to deal with the naked, ugly truth.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a break. But let me leave you with a bit of wisdom that my grandmother said. She said, "Boy, listen, the truth is either going to come out in the wash or it's going to come out in the rinse." Now, we'll be right back.
I love it. I love it. I
2
love it.
seconds.
All right, we're on break.
Yeah,
That's
grandma wisdom, bruh.
yeah. This is a good start to the show here, man. This is really good. This is good.
Okay, so we're going to continue on with the actual truth. And then we'll bring it back to the book, the truth of the book. So let's see. Black unity. And how it's always threatened by somebody who wants to be a friend of the white man or establishment and sell them out, or a snitch.
Well, we have the spirit of inclusivity. Um, everything around us could be falling apart. And our number one concern, oftentimes, and not in all cases, but a lot of cases,
1 minute warning.
is how about the other people? How about the other groups? And it's almost like, what they say on the airplane, you have to save yourself before you attempt to save another.
You got to put your mask on first before you put the mask on for your child.
Yeah. And this holy redemption, we should overcome sentiment is really not healthy for us. It really isn't.
Okay. Why do you find it to be not helpful?
Well, this long suffering and we're built for this, and we have to be down with the struggle. I mean, who wants to be down?
Just bring us in no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go in early?
Yeah, just bring us in.
I'll bring it in.
Talking.
Going in
So
5:03.
Yeah. So go. We're just going to talk while he's producing. Okay, doctor.
Okay.
So so we shall overcome segment. It's like, well, we're sitting up there going, well, we're no longer past that. I'm sorry, we're past the we shall overcome. I mean, our children right now are past that. Our children are gathering a sense of an arrogant sense of entitlement that is the equal to their white peers, because a lot of our kids now are engaged in these white schools. They're no longer sitting up here going, "We shall overcome," and side by side together. They're no longer sitting up here going, "How long shall justice come to our people?" No, our children right now are saying, "We want it, and we want it now."
Yes, they are. Yes and no.
Go ahead, doctor.
Yeah. I say yes and no because I am really living that reality right now. I think that our children are trying to find their voice. And one of the things that I admire about our young people is that they are not cautious about finding that voice. And I believe that they are not only trying to find their voice, they're trying to carve out their area of this world and exist in that area. And so if you look at them, many of them are coming out of the womb entrepreneurial. Many of them are really, looking towards this whole notion of Black wealth and what that really means, and not going to college to get a job, but using the skills and the knowledge base from the college experience to create their own jobs. I mean, that's what I'm finding, especially as I work with young people across this United States of America, that many of them.
Incredible. I met an 11-year-old today who has his own Shopify account and sells clothes. Yeah,
absolutely. So I really think that we have to support the narrative of their growth. I mean, we really, really do. And this is not, we're not dealing with a group of people who are similar to a group 30, 40 years ago. These guys are well organized, they're vocal, and they are ready to respond to the hope and dreams and aspirations that our ancestors had.
They're moving fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that what we have to do is really support them in a healthy way.
No, I respectfully disagree. You know what we got to do? Get out of their way.
hey, that's part of the support that I'm talking about.
This is the support that they need. All they need is bail money. Okay,
exactly.
Get out of their way. Let them do it. Let us ride on their coattails, and let us, the seniors, the elders, the ones who possess that wisdom, while they possess that vigor and
Yeah.
enthusiasm. Let us be the ones that give them just that little touch of wisdom that they need to keep moving to the next level. But
You know,
for the most part,
yeah.
get out of their way.
Yeah, what I tell young men, particularly the ones that I work with across the country, is that they have to embrace the language of their culture, but they have to master the language that's going to mobilize them in society. You
There you
know,
go.
I had a really good mentor, a superintendent by the name of Dr. Clifford Janey, and he said that you have to be the most articulate agent in the room. That when you speak, you have to have expertise around extemporaneous speaking. So you should know your craft, you should know your topic, you should know your subject. So when you're speaking in crowds and groups of people, you don't need to read off of a script. You need to know it cognitively and then to deliver it linguistically. And I think that that's what we have to do. We have to help our young people to become articulate agents.
That's how we run this show.
Right, right, right. Exactly.
Well, I mean, that's how you and I conversate, because we have to realize that we come from a community that has a great deal of wisdom and knowledge and stories, but
Yeah,
they weren't written down. They
yeah,
were all
exactly.
passed orally.
Yeah, yeah. And we got to capture that. We really do. And I really can hear the voice of my great grandfather, who I had the fortune of meeting when I was a little
Mhm.
boy. I can hear the voice of my grandfather. I can hear the voice of my father. I can hear these patriarchs who have made a deep and lasting, indelible impact in my life. I can hear the matriarchs. I can hear the voice of my mother, my grandmother. And one of the things that really desired me to become a writer so that I can capture those voices, so I can get into that space and that place and write the words, write the lyrics to their music, their songs that they so deeply embedded in my heart and in my mind.
But let's look at historically. Let me backtrack this a little bit in terms of getting out of their way, because we're really pushing on to a huge vibe. I don't know about you, but let me tell you about my experience. One of the largest hindrance in my progress and my growth were Black people who meant well, because they were always tell me the stories of, Massa ain't gonna let you do that. You got to go over here. You can't climb and be this. Massa wants you to be that. You can't go over here. You got to be like this. You can't look Massa in the eye. You heard them stories?
I have. But when it comes to those types of stories, I think that I have a high degree of um, memoration loss. I just cannot listen to that. You know,
you, you forgot what they said as soon as they said it. Huh?
exactly. I just shut down. I just can't. I can't even think about what they're saying. I mean, it is just so crazy that I'm like, okay, we have literally lost our minds. We really
We,
have. I'm like, how do we go from being the descendants of the first group of people on Earth to losing our minds to that degree, to not to giving that power to another group of people who are very new to civilization? I mean, what is happening? What has happened to us? I mean, really, I mean, what is going on? I mean,
I think
someone tell me.
I think you said it right, and Marvin Gaye says it right. What's going on?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
I-
too much. There's mothers. There's too many of you crying. Brothers, there's far too many of you dying.
right.
We let the simple fact of believing, we left the concept, or we've been preached out of, or we've been lulled into a false sense of reality, that being passive, not aggressive in terms of getting what we want, that this benevolent God will just give it to us, because if we just continue to be humble and not aggressive to our desires and needs and our wants.
Yeah, I think you have done an amazing job, young man, of telling the story the way that it really is. And I think that we have to get out of that, because I think at the core of that,
That's
we're
because I'm
really,
reading your book.
right. Yeah. And we have a section in the book that's dealing with post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Hmm.
And we even have a song. I would love to play that song after the next break. That we just cannot. We have not healed. I mean, how can we heal? We have been in servitude longer than we've been out.
We have healing or the process of emotional, intellectual, mental healing has been beaten out of us in slavery because we saw all of these atrocities happening. We saw, our children being sold because master didn't like the way we looked at him, or he didn't approve of the way his hotcakes were made that day. We
Mhm.
saw the atrocities of our sons being sexually assaulted
Mhm. Mhm.
because Master was afraid that he was becoming a young and strong buck and would take
Right.
over him.
Right.
We saw
Absolutely.
the atrocities of people who tried to run away, yet captured by the same
Mhm.
people who had the same color skin, and then placed on display and beaten within an inch of their life. And in that, we were told to sing a hymn.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We,
It's
we have not had healing, doctor.
no, we haven't. No, we haven't. And even and it spills into our relationships. That's why when you have two brothers, you know, violence can go from 0 to 100 in a second. We've kind of been conditioned and taught to hate ourselves. So we hate ourselves, we're going to hate those that look like us, those that have the shared experiences. And I really believe in some ways that had we remained segregated, our communities wouldn't be in such a dire straits that they're in right now. Uh,
Mm.
I really do, because we really exemplified the term "my brother's keeper." And I think that we would have been able to police our neighborhoods. We would have made sure that we continue to have the doctor living next door to the teacher, who lived next door to the garbage man, who lived next door to whomever. But we were right there. Our young people saw us at our best, and we told our story. We told our story.
They, they,
We are
they,
the
they,
only
they saw
people.
the consensus.
Absolutely. I mean, we
Be,
have I can't think of another group of people that allow others to tell their story in a manner in which they want the story delivered, and we believe it. We become
mm,
believers of it. And I'm like,
mm,
wow, this is crazy. And
like,
that's why whenever I look at the media and I see us in a demonstrative light, I always question it. I always like, wait a minute, because I knew how they did me when I was a superintendent. I mean, it was almost like they created a character that I didn't even know, but it had my face. I was like, people are crazy.
you're like, they're showing you, and you're like, who's that?
Who is that dude? Man, he looks familiar. I mean,
He looks like me. However, I don't
exactly.
remember any of those. Yeah.
And they did such a fascinating job that I became intrigued with the character that they created that looked like me. I couldn't wait till the next newspaper article. I couldn't wait until the next
Wow.
television. I'm like,
Wow.
man.
You sound exactly like my campaign. I mean,
Hey, it,
my, my wife and I, we were sitting up there talking about, let's see the next article that's got your new
exactly.
woman in it. I'm like,
That's
what?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
And one thing you have to do when you're are observing this display, Vince, you have to make sure that you have your popcorn and your cool drink ahead of you, with you rather, while you're looking at this stuff and reading it. I'll tell you, because I think there's a poem by Hakeem Matabuti that I want to read on our next show. I'll just try to commit it to memory. And one of the things that he says that we often mistake strip mining as farming. We also open the door for those who share our hue. We invite them in and we let them come and sit with us because we trust them, because they look like us. But one by one, they hurt us. They bring us to our knees because we understand that the issue is not that they don't know, they don't know that they don't know.
Mm, wow. And we're going to come right back. And I'd like to find that song so that we can play it as we come out of the break.
Yes.
I'm Vincent Squire with my co-host, Dr. Walter Milton Jr., the author of Blach History 365. And we're talking about the real Uncle Tom. See you in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Okay, we're out.
Okay, Doctor, give Chaz the information so he can pull that song up. Is it on like YouTube?
I think he's got it muted right now.
You're muted, Doctor. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Chaz, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Chaz, is it possible that you can go to what is the Apple? Do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Okay, can you go to download the music?
It may be better if you sent them the link real quick.
Okay, actually, you know what, Chad? Let me sing you the song.
What's the
Can I
name
sing
of
you
it?
the song?
Yeah, I'm sure it's just a Google away. Well, what's the name of the song?
I'm going to send it to you, Chad. I'm going to send it to you right now. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, Chaz, give me your number right quick.
I texted you like 3 times today.
I know. It's on my.
Okay, 609.
Okay, 609, and I'm going to lock you in, Chaz.
234.
234
0816.
0816. And we have music to the textbook too. I need to really talk about that.
Okay.
But did you get the song?
Not yet, no.
Okay, it should come any second now.
Oh, Dr. Milton, I got some good news for you.
Yes, sir.
We're pulling away from Comcast.
Okay.
And we're going into Bounce TV.
Bounce?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So after the show, I want to talk to you about doing your weekly Blach History show.
Okay.
Right.
Great. I would love it. Okay. Did you get it yet, Chaz?
I did, yep.
Okay.
It's on my cell phone though. I have to give me a second here, guys.
Okay.
Let us know when you're ready. We've got, a minute, 28 seconds. If not, you can run it longer.
Hey, Chaz, is it possible that you can email me this show today?
Sure.
Or text it to me?
Might be a little too big to text, but I could email it to you.
Okay.
Or he can text you the link.
Yeah, or the link, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So we've got this huge shipping embargo of supply and not getting anything because like 73% of our products are in China. I have not been able to find a good bow tie in 3 months.
I don't know about that because I told you you're looking very pastoral.
Oh,
It seems like you got some nice bow ties. But there is a young brother. If you can Google a young black guy who makes bow ties.
that's exactly where I was going.
Came across several, and it would be nothing like investing in your own.
Yeah, that's what I was actually thinking of doing.
Oh yeah.
Eye-catchy designs, the tie store online. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
I got a couple other songs that I'm going to send it to Chaz right quick.
Great. We'll play.
So
We'll play
I'm
another
able
one
to
out.
play the song, but I don't know if you guys are able to. Let me see. Can you hear this? Nothing, right?
Nothing.
Oh,
Okay. See if I can mute myself. I might be able to play it, but I'll be muted.
okay.
Got nothing. Phil, if there's something you need to check, now's the time to do it. Okay, there we go. Hello, beautiful. I love to talk to you about my plans for you after dinner, but I'm on the air. Which time? Which one? Dr. Milton? Which
Huh?
song? Which one?
Uh,
I got it here. Chapter 5, enslavement. So I'll be able
right.
to play it.
Okay, what's the time on it?
Total time of the song is 2 minutes 54 seconds.
Bring it in now,
Okay.
and at the end of it, you can count us down.
Okay.
And have another one for when we go out to break. Tuesday's show, I'll be
I have to. So there, I won't be able to. I can't differentiate the audio between you guys and them. Okay. All right. So there seems to be some confusion. So I'm playing the song for them. You boys will be unable to hear it.
Okay.
oh man,
All right.
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So if you want to play it on your phones, you can, but I'm unable to play it for you guys to hear it as well.
Okay, count us
All
down.
right. All right. Gonna
All right.
count you down. Stopping at 3. Live in 5, 4, 3.
So you just heard one of the selections of the book, Blach History 365. And with me today, my co-host of that book, Blach History 365, Dr. Walter Milton. Dr. Milton, are you with me?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, let's go into the. I caught some clips of it. So that song, what does it say to you?
Well, it's research from Dr. DeGraw that talks about post-traumatic slave syndrome is real. And what we've learned to do from generation to generation is to pack our sorrows deep within us, but it comes out in other areas. And we
Right.
never had any type of psychological, emotional intervention. We've just always been told to get over it. It has nothing to do with now. It's all in the past. But you don't heal that way. I mean, and I think that we've suffered generationally for a multitude of generations. And I think that we're going to have to look to ourselves for that process. We don't have to ask any other group for permission to go through that process. I think that we need to do that, and we need to stop looking for others to co-sign or to sign off
Or validate.
or validate. Even better.
Mhm.
I mean, we just really, really have to spend some time. And I think, Vince, I just really admire you for what you do, because you have to have courage to have a show like yours to really deal with that naked truth that people don't want to deal with. They rather have the lie packaged really well. But
Hmm.
you have a canning ability to really, really tell the story accurately in terms of our reality. And you put it
Well,
in a manner that's relatable. And I just want to commend you for that.
okay. Well, I appreciate it. But here's the honest to God truth of what I do. I get people who are smart and brilliant and can articulate well what's going on and look at it from a perspective that would bring healing, development, and growth, or even enlightenment to our people. And you know what I do? I let them do what they were born to do. So, bringing you on the show is a part of bringing that healing, development, education, enlightenment, so that our people can grow and move to the next step.
And I think that if we can get to the point that we wouldn't harm a strand of hair on each other's head, we're going to go places. We really, really are. And I think that I'm
You know
sorry.
what? If we could get to the point in the understanding that watching this show and sharing this show and expanding it around others does not harm a hair or head of anybody, nor does it make me multi-millions of dollars.
I agree.
We would be okay.
Absolutely.
If we can make me millions of dollars, I'll be all right too. But however, it's not because Brother Squire got a mortgage too. But no, the first point of the rule is to serve, to do, to build. The rest of the stuff comes to us.
I agree. I think that we have an awesome responsibility to do what's right by each other. I really do, and not to make excuses, and not to be so quick and easy to worry about other folks when our world is falling apart. We
Right.
have to put our world together and get it right, and then maybe we can go abroad after that. But prior
Mm.
to us getting that right, we should leave all of that external stuff and people alone and just really focus on building ourselves up righteously.
And if once we get past the understanding that there are some people looking to do fundamentally right in the Black community
Yeah,
in terms of healing,
yeah,
and they're not looking to exploit you, to harm you, or to capitalize off of you, but yet let you heal, then
right, right. Because even in our own personal relationships, I think that if you look at the state that we are in, our Black men and Black women, we can't leave our sisters unprotected. We have to make
woo,
sure that
yeah.
we protect them, and that we stand up and we remind them of their beauty. We remind them of their intellect. We remind them of so many great things. Someone sent me this a text this morning, and I thought it was incredibly amazing. And I was going to share with all of the sisters, in my life. Let me see if I can bring it up. You just indulge me
Well,
for
while you're bringing it up, I'm going to make this comment.
okay.
Not only do we not protect our sisters, okay, we have now villainized them to the point where it has become popular for a woman to be called a B.
Well, that's part of that post-traumatic slave syndrome. That's part of that sickness and that psychosis that we have to heal from. But this is it here. I don't know if you could see that, but I'll read it. But it says, they whispered to her, "You can't withstand the storm," and she whispered back, "I am the storm."
Hmm. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something that my mother told me. If it wasn't for the black women, black men would have been extinct in the 70s.
Whew, that's kind of late because that would have happened well before that in some cases. I tell you, yeah, we have to remember that. We really have to.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Be- because you look at all the charges, you look at during that time period of the forced mass incarceration, you look at the time period of the migration from the south to the north to get jobs. No, the big attack. Oh, by the way, and a new thing called welfare, where the black man could not be in the home for the family to receive support.
Well, I know we only have 10 minutes left,
Hmm.
and that is a show all by itself. It is.
We'll look at that for next week then.
Yeah, that
But
that is an amazing topic because we're dealing with some of the results of that now. And some of the things, it's not a flaw in the system, it's a design of the system. And we have to have the skill set to really strategically break down those type of things because they become barriers. And some of these things that we're dealing with, it's much bigger than being our fault. It is. And we have to really hold those responsible.
and it's going to take a Herculean effort to get those responsible to be responsible.
So just
So
imagine what we're doing though, Vince, right now, because I know you I know I'm a guest on your show, but you have made me feel a part of your show. And I think these conversations again are Herculean conversations. And if we could start here and spread that and get all of our people to talk with this level of discourse, it's going to be great.
my prayer has always been within the sound of my voice that everyone that can hear, that can watch the show, that can share
Mhm.
the show, and they
Absolutely.
can share the show, that we can give more enlightenment and understanding to the plight of the black, not the black man, but the black people,
Yeah.
to understand that right now we're still under attack
Hmm.
when they can send billions of dollars to Ukraine
Hmm. Oh
for
yeah.
war,
Oh yeah.
which does not involve us.
Oh yeah.
Yet the small business administration disaster relief loans have now dried up,
Hmm. Hmm.
or the rent relief loans have now dried up,
Hmm.
or the mortgage relief loans have now dried up. All of those things that could help the black community and people of color are gone. But Congress can overwhelmingly approve billions of dollars for people in other countries.
Yeah.
We're under attack. If you don't realize that now.
I could join you in your feeling around this topic because it's pretty disconcerting, to say the least, that the people that have earned it the most uh, have not even received any recognition financially. I know that Trump acknowledged our 400 years of servitude several years ago, but it's bigger than that. It really is. I mean,
I think he didn't acknowledge it as much as he bragged about it.
yeah, 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 and that could be, and that's the same thing. I mean, but we need more than that. We need more than that. We need words and actions to go hand in hand. Forget the
Mm.
platitudes, forget all of that other stuff that they do. We need action, and we need to be remunerated for what has happened to us. It's significant, and we have to kind of abstractulate and deduce all the stuff that we've been taught, and then we have to relearn.
Doctor, I know this may be out of your wheelhouse of study, but maybe one, and this is a theory or an ideology I like to throw out there. Maybe the simple fact that we can't heal from the traumas of slavery is because we're always into another trauma.
Yeah. Explain that. Because I mean, you're onto something big, but I want the listening audience to understand it, because I do.
We can't heal from the traumas of slavery because after the traumas of slavery, became the traumas of the assault of white superiority, basically keeping everybody oppressed through gunshots, and we can't heal from the trauma of slavery, of losing our parents, our grandparents, and our children, because during the World War II era, we were now faced with the atrocities of losing our property, our land, and our brothers and sisters and uncles and fathers fighting in a foreign land and not getting recognition. We can't heal from the traumas of slavery because during the New Deal, where every America was going to get a chicken in every pot, we were faced with the fact that we don't have a place to put a pot. We can't deal with the traumas of slavery because now that the period of welfare and welfare reform of the great society was now letting white people call their husbands uncles to their children, and black people calling their fathers to their children, and having to leaving a mother to raise her black son alone. We can't deal with the pain and the trauma of slavery because right now my black wife has to dance to a whole new level to teach black children how to read because she understands the truth of the prison to pipe, the public school to prison pipeline. We don't have time to deal with the trauma of slavery because we're dealing with the trauma right now of food insecurity, medical insecurity. We've got housing insecurity, all exposed by COVID. We can't deal with the trauma of slavery because we keep facing other traumas. Did I get that right, doctor?
I think that you hit the ball so far out of the park. They're in their little boats trying to find the ball out the water. That was great.
Somewhere in Wrigley Field, there's somebody rowing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You got 3 minutes, doctor, left in this show. Tell us the wisdom that we need.
Well, you know how they always say, if you want to keep it from us, put it in the book. And I just want to say that this Blach History 365, an inclusive account of American history, it's really all in the book. We start from ancient Africa, before all of the geopolitical lines were made, when Africa was kingdoms, and we go all the way back to the beginning of time. And then we go all the way past George Floyd. And one of the things that all readers of all hues and ethnicities can find is Black excellence. They can find Black brilliance all throughout. And not only our contributions here in America, but our contributions throughout the world. And they will understand that our history is not a sideline history. It's not a history that's out of bounds. It's not anything that's inclusive. It is what it is. It's not his story, but it's history. It's the great things that we have done since the beginning of time, and not only shaping this nation, but shaping this world. And so I just, implore with everyone listening to visit our website at bh365.org. That's bh365.org, blackhistory365.org. Purchase our book, purchase the ebook, purchase the hardcover book, lower grade level books. But I want to say before we leave that it's a series of books from K to Gray, and it's truly our love letter to the world.
Well, what I want to say is this. We spend so much time on his story that we've forgotten our story. Blach History 365 is truly our story. As he said, it is a love letter. It talks about the truth, raw, plain, but you know what? It's the truth. And as soon as we embrace our truths, the sooner we can find solutions to the problems, the sooner we can help our children to progress or to progress above where we are. The sooner we will get another Black scientist jumping up and down because he's made a discovery of some ills that's plaguing our world, the sooner we get some Black child celebrating the simple fact that he was in a predominantly white sport and he's excelled to excellence, the sooner we get more people of color in the business and political realm where they can make the changes that can help their people. The more we know our story, the more we gain strength of our history, the more we gain knowledge of where we come from in our lineage. We don't come from a weakened society that starts with slavery. We come from a society beyond that that starts with kings, that starts with scientists, that starts with people who have a great deal of creativity. We come from a group of people who can change the world. Remember that, believe that, and make it happen.
Yes.
Love you all. And I'm talking about love being an action word. And I want to thank my co-host today, Dr. Walter Milton Jr., author of Blach History 365.
All right. Take care. God bless you. We'll talk to you next week.
Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what you need to do or what you need to tell your children in the event that they're pulled over by the police, because we don't need any more Black Lives Matter protests. God bless everyone.